raised as Catholic?
No, actually.
What were you raised as?
So I wasn't raised as anything.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, like I'm saying 10 and under.
Yep.
I don't ever remember going to church unless it was for a holiday, like
Okay.
Christmas or Easter or a wedding or a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And I never went to it. But my mom is Catholic, and she also went to Catholic school. So she had 12 years of going to church every single day, she said. So she was like over church.
Right.
And to her, my mom was like, I don't need to go to church to believe in God and to be there and to follow what I believe in.
Right.
And I was like, okay. But I like church. I like the camaraderie. I like being with people. I love singing in the choir. So then I
You a good singer?
I am.
What?
And then I went to a Protestant church first because my cousin went there.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It was fine. I was young. But I remember I cut all my hair off, and it was super short, and I wore makeup one time, and they were so concerned about that.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, in our church, we don't believe in that. Like, you grow your hair long, and you don't wear makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And I
They tell
questioned
you why?
it. Yeah, I questioned it. I was like, okay, why? And they were like, well, that's what our belief is, and you should just be natural. God loves his children to be all natural and not have to feel like they need to change any portion of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And as she's telling me this, her hair is all put up, and it's like she had super long hair, but it was all put up, and she had hairspray all over it, and I was like, see, like, that's not natural. Like, you did something with your hair. You might have still grown it super long, but you still chose to put it up or put bobby pins in it,
right,
or yada, yada, yada. And right then I was like, God loves all his children. It doesn't matter what my hair looks like and if I have makeup on.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, nope, it's not for me. And I even went home and talked to my mom, and I was like, they said that. Is this, right? And she was like, no, honey, you can be you. And if they don't accept you for that, that's not God, that's them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. So then I went to the Catholic Church because I was like, okay, well, this is my heritage and this is what my family has all gone, so I want to look into it too. And
right.
I did, but I did not like the routine of it all.
Of Protestant?
No, of Catholic
Catholic,
Church.
okay. What is the routine of it? What is
the routine of Catholic Church of like coming down and like sit down, kneel down, pray, peace be with you, and then receive the blood of Christ. And it was just very routine. You do the exact same thing every time.
Right.
And some people like routine, and that's what they like about it. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't the routine, it was the fact that like you do it so much that it loses its
importance.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's how it seemed. Like looking around when people were like, peace be with you, I was like, do you really mean that? Or
are you just saying it?
Do you say it because that is what you're supposed to do at this moment?
Mm-hmm.
And also, the priest, I could never understand. Like, it wasn't a communication between him and me, and I was learning and I was growing closer to Christ and God. It was foreign. And I was like, I don't even know what you're saying. And I felt very lost and very out of place. I was like, okay, this isn't for me. And then one of my friends was like, hey, I'm having a lock-in at my church. Do you want to come? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So went to the lock-in, and it was a Methodist church.
Okay.
And so now I'm into this. And I go there, and I
go
go
to
this
point
church.
of your life, you're just trying different
I am.
things.
I was like on the bandwagon of
right.
trying different religions to be like, okay, what works best for me?
Yep.
And so I go to the Methodist church, and I sang in the choir, and I really liked it. But I liked the people. And they never were like, do this, do that. But I would never consider myself, oh, I am a Methodist. Like, that's my religion. I would never say that because I was like, no, that's not me. I just so happened to go to a Methodist church, and I liked the pastor there. But now, like, I go back, and there's a new pastor, and I just don't connect with them. Like, they don't speak to me like they did the other pastor. And I was like, and if I was Methodist, I'd be like, no, this is the church I go to, even if I like pastor or not. Like, this is the only Methodist church. And I was like, no, that's not for me. And so then I moved to Virginia because I joined the military. And
what part?
I went to Virginia Beach. My sister is stationed there, and so I lived with her. Okay. And I was there for 3 years. And she originally went to a really big church, and it was huge. And coming from the country and like going to that, I was like, wow. And it wasn't so much that it was offsetting for me. It was that it seemed like a show.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
I understand
like
that
television preachers. Like it seemed very much like that, and like everything was put on for a performance based, and I didn't feel like close to anybody. Like no one knew anybody in the church, and like the pastor just seemed like this showy guy and very preachy, but not, again, having a conversation with me and helping me along my way on my journey. Like I never felt like I could go up to him and just ask a question.
Hold on real quick. So the country, your church would be how many people? Like, just give me a ballpark.
Well, Catholic Church is a lot of, like, pretty much my whole town goes to Catholic Church. And then, like, all the other little small churches are around, like, 200 tops.
Okay.
And then, like, this church was, like, thousands of people. And I was so far back that I had to watch the screen, and I couldn't even see the pastor. And I was like, this is so weird to me. And so then when I was in Virginia, another friend was like, hey, I go to this church. You want to come to this church? And I was like, okay. And it was a Baptist church. So now I'm at a Baptist church. And again, I sang in the choir, and I was in the youth ministries. And so I did all this stuff with the kids. And then I was also like a cheerleading coach for like the basketball team for the little girls that wanted to be cheerleaders. And because I did cheerleading when I was in middle school. But still, you don't have to know much to teach the kids cheerleading.
Cheers, right.
So I did that and everything, but that's when I started to like kind of lose my faith and everything. I had jumped around so much that
Were
I
you
didn't
losing your
know.
faith, or
I wasn't losing my faith. I just was losing like sight of the real meaning. Like, and I had, like, I went to church, but I didn't really follow what the church was saying at that point. Like when I was in Virginia, I was very lost, and I searched in places I shouldn't have searched to find something to fill me up, which would have been what I got from God and filling. But I was so separate from that. And it wasn't until I moved to Hawaii, I got stationed in Hawaii, and then I was like, I really need to get back in the church. Like I need to walk with God, and I've lost so much of that. And then I went to a non-denominational church. And I was like, okay. And I loved it. And I stayed at that church for the 4 years I was there. I was very close to them. My pastor, when I was there, ended up being the one who married me and Dusty. Like, we were very close, and it was very family. And he just talked to us like real people. And he made me feel like, and I, again, sang and did, youth stuff. And we did, we sponsored kids, and we did all sorts of ministry stuff, and like went out in town and tried to get people to come to God and stuff like that. But it was never like, this is our religion, because they didn't have that. It was like, just come as you are, be as you are, and we just want to tell you about the Lord, and not, these are the guidelines of this church. It was never like that. And I think that's when I realized, I've been trying all these different religions, but it was never about that. Because I realized I am not an organized religion person. I don't associate with any religion. I just believe in God, and I believe in what all that stands for. And even a pastor itself interprets the Bible how they interpret it and then give it to you. But it's really on you to read the Bible and see what that means for you. Like even right now I have a study Bible that I just got, and even like in the study Bible, their opinions compared to like, oh well, I didn't even get that out of that. Like to me, I got this and they got that, and I was like, but that's okay, because the Bible is made for everybody, and it's made so that people can be like, oh well, this is what I got from it, and no, this is what I got from it. Well, you're gonna get two different point of views because you've had two different lifestyles. It's when religion, you are so strong in your belief that it causes problems, that it's like, no, this is what we believe and you're bad and you're wrong. And I'm like, that's just like not great. Like I get 100% get sin. I do. But when it comes to certain things that, like, for example, like I'm pro-life because there are certain Incidents? And no.
Incidents?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just can't say that word.
Okay.
Where I feel like a woman should have a choice in those
Yes.
things. And when certain religions are like, no, like you have to go through with this.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you shouldn't dictate that. And you have no idea what she's going through or what she's been through for you to make that choice for her and then look down upon her.
Have you ever
because
spoke
of it.
with someone about that? Someone who's like, no, she should have it no matter what. No. Just
No.
let it ride.
No. Yeah. I was mostly just like, okay, you're gonna say what you're gonna say.
Okay.
And 9 times out of 10, I feel like if I would question, they'd be like, don't question God and don't question your faith, and this is how things are done, and give me a Bible scripture that then is taken out of context.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not what that actually means. And also, I'm not super educated, so they're gonna know more than me anyway. So they're gonna throw a bunch at me that I'm gonna be like, okay, because I don't know that, but I do know that this instance
Right.
shouldn't be like that.
Right.
And so now when I'm out here, I go to a non-denominational church as well. And it's all the
Which one?
connection.
What's the name of it?
Elevate.
I never heard of that one.
It's way in Santa Clarita,
Okay.
where I live. And it's just about the communication I have with the pastor. If I really feel like he's talking about nowadays and how to apply it in the world we live in now,
Right.
because this is a crazy time, really. I mean, there's so many different avenues that you could go with, and so many. I looked up how many religions there are, and there are 4,700 religions. And I was blown away because I didn't even know that. I was just, hey, Google, how many religions are there? And it came up, and I was like, what? Wow. Like, I didn't even know any of that.
Right.
And my thing is, I am fine. I'm 100% fine with whatever you believe in. And I want you to believe in whatever you believe in. That's fine. As long as it's like helping people and being kind and nice and not looking down upon people because they're not good enough or they aren't holy enough. And also, within your religion, whatever you choose, just ask questions and make sure you're choosing it for you and not because, well, my mom did this or my dad did this or this is a family tradition or my whole town goes to this church.
Right.
Like, don't be on the bandwagon.
Right.
And really go out there and be like, no, I choose this because of me, because I wanted to do that. And that goes for all beliefs.
Right.
For anything, any traditions or anything like that. Don't just do it to do it.
Right.
Like, for instance, I'm not Catholic, right? But my whole family is, and they believe in Lent.
Okay.
And I looked it up for me because I was like, well, I'm not Catholic, and I want to know why we even do this. And I really do like what it stands for and what it is. So I choose to participate in Lent. And my family, like,
Explain what Lent is.
So Lent is the time when Jesus died on the cross for us and his whole walk through it and everything that goes along with that. And so for 40 days we give up something because Jesus gave up his life for us and God gave up his only son for us. So we choose to give up something that we do every day. So
What'd you give up
this time,
this go around?
so time is super important to me. I'm always busy, and I never give enough time to God and sitting down with the Bible. It's always like, I'll get to it. So this time I was like, no, 30 minutes a day, that's it. And I was like, I'm going to sit down and read the Bible and be there and pray and just talk to God. I was like, because how dare I take that for granted? And I have been. And I was like, and I put you on the back burner like you're just everybody else. And that's not fair to you. You especially, in my opinion.
Yours is a lot better than mine. I gave up chocolate for 40
Hey,
days.
but it could have been really hard. Like, one time I gave up cursing, and another time, because I was in the Navy, I cursed like crazy.
Yeah.
And then another time I gave up candy. Like, as a kid, I always gave up, like, pop and junk food and candy. And I've given up social media and all different things because I'm like, no, I find that to be really good to do. Even, like, my church back in Hawaii, for the first few months, they do the 10% rule. Like, you give up 10% of your year for them. So they give up something. So, like, most of them gave up meat, and then they're vegetarian for the first few months, and that's their 10%. Yeah, and I was like, no, I like that too.
Oh,
like,
I never heard of that.
And I'm like, wow, okay. And
How
I've
long
never
does that
done
last?
that. I think it's until like the end of February, maybe beginning of March. I don't know exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, and I really liked that. And I was like, wow, I've never even thought of that. And they're like, well, I don't know if it's something we do. We just do it at this church. And they were like, you don't have to do it. And I love that. They gave me the choice too. They were always like, you don't have to do that. And then other religions were like, I don't want to do that. They're like, well, but that's what we do here. And it's always like, why don't you? And then they keep questioning you until you're just like, okay, I'll do it. And at the church in Hawaii, they were just like, if you want to do it, you do it. If you don't, that's fine too.
Right.
And anyway, so I was talking to my family, and I accidentally, so I made chili for the first time. And I love to cook. And I was like, I'm going to make chili, and I'm going to make it my own way. And oh my gosh, it's going to be so good. So I got up at like 8 a.m., got all the stuff. It was brewing by 9, like all day long. And then it was done. It smelled so good. And I had a bowl, and it's Friday, and I forgot. And I hadn't eaten all day. I was like, oh, I'm so happy. And I sent a picture to my family. I was like, guys, I made homemade chili. It's so good. And my brother texted back, and he's like, well, I hope that's made with fish, because it's Friday. And I was like, nope, it's not. And I was like, oh man, I totally forgot. And they were like, well, God, we know is forgiving God, so just don't have beef for the rest of the day. And I was like, yes, you're right. And I asked for forgiveness. And
Did you feel bad?
I did. I was like, oh man. But a part of me was like, well, good thing I'm not Catholic. And I said that as like a joke. And my family was like, wait, you're not? And I was like, well, here's the conversation, because it never came up beforehand.
So why did you feel bad if you weren't Catholic?
Because I still believe in Lent. I still believe in what it stands
Gotcha.
for.
Okay.
I'm not Catholic, but I believe in what Lent stands for.
Okay.
And so I was like, nah, I feel bad. Like, I shouldn't have ate meat. And I totally did. And my sisters were like, what do you mean you're not Catholic? You were baptized Catholic. I was like, I was christened Catholic as a baby. And I was like, but I didn't have a choice. Like, that was my mother's choice because she's Catholic, which I'm totally fine with that. I'm happy like she made a choice, and that's her choice. And then, and even my mom, when I was going to all these different churches, she was never like, no, you're Catholic and you need to go to this church. She was like, okay, go try that out, see if you like it.
Right.
And so I told my family, I was like, no, I'm not Catholic. And I was like, I don't associate with any religion. I just believe in God. I believe in faith and praying and the Holy Spirit and heaven and hell and Jesus and just all of that, but I don't choose to associate myself with a religion. And my mom was like, okay, that's cool. And my other siblings were like, oh, like I didn't know that about
So why hadn't you told them up until this point? Because it never came up?
It never came up.
Okay.
Because I lived alone with my mom. All my other brothers, because I'm the youngest. So all my other brothers and sisters had left. And then I always was going to different churches. So I never thought that they would think that I was Catholic because I never even did anything with the Catholic Church. But it never came up as in like, they were never like, are you Catholic or are you not? Because you go to these different churches. And no, it was never really talked about until I brought it up in this instance. And they were like, oh. And they were like, okay. And I made sure they knew, like, don't get me wrong, I 100% believe in God. And that's what I choose to believe in. But no, I don't associate with a religion per se, organized religion. And yeah, they were just like, oh, okay.
I've heard horror stories of similar things that, exactly what you said about your family, but it didn't go the way you said.
Yeah, no.
People
a lot of
like,
families are like,
from their families
wow,
and everything.
But my family is very open because, I don't know why. Maybe because my mom was my mom had this time of day where she called it sex, drugs, and rock and roll time. And we would sit down and we would all talk about our days. And we would go around and be like, how was your day? And then what did you learn today? And what do you want to ask the family? And it was basically like a support group. And we would all sit down and do it.
Okay.
And we would just all talk to each other about like this, that, and the other thing. And like, I was so young when we first started this. I was like, so I played with my dolls and it was like things like that. But we've always had such an open communication in my family, and that even if we don't like that you don't choose this, or you don't, or you didn't listen to our advice, or you chose to do whatever you wanted to do, we still respect it, and we're like, okay, that's your choice. You're a grown adult. Do as you wish.
Right.
And none of us have ever pushed our own agenda on each other. And I think it's also because we're very outspoken in my family, because my mom is so blunt, and then us sitting down and always talking to each other, we became that way too. So if we ever did feel pressured, we'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not me, and stop trying for me to be you. And they would be like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that, sort of thing. And so I think that's why, because I do hear of people that are like, oh my gosh, I can't tell my family that I don't believe in this. I don't like it because I will be disowned. And I had a friend that was like that, and I was like, see, and that's another reason why I don't like religion, because your family looked at you totally different when you said, I don't choose to believe this. You didn't say that you didn't believe in God. You didn't say any of that. And then they just totally disowned you.
Right. I think that's the big thing when people say they're not really religious. People automatically assume, oh, he's atheist, or he doesn't believe in God or something.
And I was like, no, I do believe in God.
That's really weird.
And even if people are atheists, I shouldn't say hate, but I dislike when people who are spiritual and religious or do believe in God attack them and try to throw so much down their throat. I was like, that is not going to be the way to get them to come to the Lord, is trying to throw this down there. They're going to push back even harder. Any human being, you tell them no, or you can't do this, they're going to rebel and do the other thing. When even as a kid, when you're like, you can't have that, you think about really it, and you're like, I really want it. And then when it comes down to it, you're like, I don't even know why I want this. I don't even like it.
Yeah.
But that's how it is. And I have plenty of friends that don't believe in God, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm still gonna pray before my meals. I'm still gonna go to church. I'm still gonna be me. I'm still, when you ask me advice, I might pray for you and throw in a scripture or be there for you in a godly, spiritual way. And if you're my friend, then you respect that. Right. Just like I respect the fact, like, you don't believe in that. Right. And you're not going to pray at dinner, nor will I, like, grab your hand to be like, are you going to pray with us? And they'll be like, no, I'm not going to pray with you.
Yeah.
We'll be like,
I don't like that, because I've been around some people, like, some people are spiritual, religious, and then like, other people are atheists, and they kind of like try to pull them into doing that. I'm like, don't do that.
Don't do that. You know that they don't.
Yeah, it makes them uncomfortable and everything.
And I was like, and if it makes you so uncomfortable that you have a friend like that, then maybe you're not really their friend. Maybe you just want to bring them closer to God, and you see them as a task or something to fix, when that is so selfish and should not be anywhere.
I feel like a lot of people treat religion as if it's a cult, and they don't really understand how strong they're being at the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm explaining it right. They're pushing so hard and not really, and they're so judgmental. And I feel like I'm never gonna judge anyone, no matter what their beliefs are, because that's not my job. My job is just to love you to the best of my abilities. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
And then, and then when you're pushing all of that, you're not really opening their eyes to anything. If anything, you're just closing them more. Right. And because they're gonna think your own agenda.
They're gonna think a lot of people in like religious or spiritual are like that.
Exactly. Right. They're gonna be like, okay, well, the last 4 people I've told about the fact that I don't believe in God have now then shoved their God or their beliefs onto me. And now I'm just like, is everybody like that? Because I'm just not going to say anything anymore. Right. And that should never be how it is. Like, whatever you choose to believe in, that's on you. Yeah. And you will ultimately answer for whatever choices you make down the road, just like on me. Like, all I have control is over me. Right. That's it. Right. And so many people are like, no, I'm going to fix you. I'm going to make you better. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, are you even better? Are you fixed? Right. Like, just because you believe in God, do you still sin? Like, do you still watch porn at home when no one's there? Yeah,
exactly,
like,
you know?
Do you do things like that? And even with porn, like, people think that's bad, but some people don't who go to church. And I was like, again, it comes down to what you believe and ultimately what you will answer for. And I was like, just be a good human being. Just be a good person. Just be good.
It's that easy.
Don't steal. Don't lie. Like, be there for your friends and your family and love people instead of being like, this is what I believe, no, this is what I believe, and then now wars happen.
When I was growing up, I used to go to church all the time, and I would see how people were so judgy, and like they talk this really big talk, but then the next day they're doing something else, because we were like all around the same, small town or whatever. So that kind of pushed me away once I got older. I'm like, no, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to do this. I know I believe in God, so I'm not going to go to church, because at that time I was thinking that all churches were like that. So I just didn't go for a really long time. And then I think I came out here 2013, and I started going to Mosaic. Mosaic is a non-denominational as well. Nice. And I was like, okay, this is where I need to be. This is what I connect more with. Because I didn't like the fact that I have to get dressed up to come to church.
Yeah, you should be able to wear whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm like, why would God care if I'm wearing jeans or if I'm wearing a suit? Like, I don't really think he cares about this kind of stuff. So I think it's important for everyone to find their own path. Find
Agreed.
your own way.
Like, find whatever works for you, but don't just follow it.
Right.
Actually find it. You know what I mean? There's a difference between like, this is what I do because this is what people do, and then like, no, this is what I do because I chose to do it, and I looked into stuff and it fit me.
Something you said was ask questions. I think that's very important. People just follow blindly, and they just assume, oh, this is right, so I'm going to do this, and then I'll be right. Ask a lot of questions.
Ask questions.
And it's a lot of people off.
And I was like,
you got to do it.
I was talking to my husband because my grandmother just passed away, and didn't realize she was born in the 30s. And I was like, wow, she has lived so much life. And I was like, she's been through a lot of stuff in the world, so many changes. And I was like, but back then, they did fight. They did ask the questions. They went after things and, had riots. I'm not saying all that is great, but nowadays, we don't really do that. We're all like, well, we don't want to offend anybody, and we don't want to say anything, and maybe we'll just keep it to ourselves. And I'm like,
people just keep a lot of stuff to themselves now.
Nothing is going to change if you want change, and you're not going to figure anything out if you just sit back. And I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, like I want that, and I want someday, because I do want to have kids, I want my kids to ask questions and to find out what works for them and what they like. And it goes for everything, and not just religion, but everything you believe in. Like, why do you choose this? Oh, well, I don't know. Like, my family always did it, and then I just did it, and now I still do it. I'm like, okay, but do you even like it? Do you choose it?
Right.
Do you believe in it?
Right.
Because I had a friend, she was a vegetarian.
Okay.
Her whole life. And I was like, why? And she goes, well, my family is, and so all of us are. I'm like, okay, but why do you choose to be a vegetarian? And she's like, well, I don't know. And I was like, is it an environmental reason? Is it, your stomach can't handle it? Like, you medically cannot eat meat? She's like, no, I don't know why I chose it. I was like, see, that is the thing. We need to ask those questions.
Right.
And then now she's not a vegetarian. But
I mean, these conversations just aren't being had. People are so scared of, and then a lot of people feel like they're being attacked. If you question them, they feel it's like it's a personal attack.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I'm not. I actually said this to someone. I'm like, I'm not attacking you. I just want to know your opinion on why. I can't remember what it was, but why you think this way, or what made you come to this conclusion. Yeah. I mean, that's all it is.
And sometimes I've seen that the people who do feel attacked are the ones who are not fully grounded in what they believe in. So you're throwing a bunch of questions at them that they're like,
they don't know how to answer.
Well, I don't know. Like, and then they're like, why are you even asking me this stuff? Like, what? Da, da, da. And I was like, I'm just asking for me, and you are the only one that knows this around me.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if you fully do.
Your grandmother was born. What was she, like, Southern born and raised?
No, my grandma was born in Mexico.
Mexico. Okay. That's right. Yeah, you're Hispanic as well.
I am.
Hey. You fluent?
No.
Okay.
And it's funny because I feel so bad when people ask me that question, because I legit took 6 years of Spanish and I don't know anything. And I got A's. Like, I don't know how I passed. I was in Spanish club. Like, no. I know some words because my mom says them, and like I know some things around the house, and when she yells at me. But I even asked my mom, I was like, why didn't you teach us? Like, my older brothers know Spanish fluently, and kids pick up foreign languages like that. It's much harder when you get older.
Right.
And she was like, honestly, I didn't have time. Like, I had 6 kids, and I worked full-time. I worked 12-hour shifts. She was like...
You the youngest?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like, I just didn't have time. And she's like, and the older boys had to know it because my great-grandmother only spoke Spanish. So they had to be able to communicate with her. And I was
so
like,
is your mother is what?
Mexican.
Full-fledged Mexican. And your father is white?
German.
Okay.
And my mother has Aztec Indian as well. In our lineage, yeah. So just a spicy tomato.
So you were raised where?
In Decatur, Indiana.
And how was
Very
that?
small town.
How was that?
It's the type of town where everyone knows everybody. And
What's
everyone
the
knows
population? 16?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you that. I would have to Google it.
But it's a small town.
It is a small town.
All
Small town. We have one high school. Everybody goes to that high school.
Oh, okay.
That type of small town. Like, my mom went to that high school. Like, everybody's gone to that high school. We have different, like, middle schools and elementary schools, but one high school. And, yeah, everyone knows everybody. And if you have nothing to hide, you're good. But if you're trying to be sneaky, it is never going to work out in our town, or somebody's going to find out. But when I was younger, I was outside all the time.
Right.
And I look at kids here, and I'm like, wow, you just don't have that here in the city. And
I feel sorry for these kids, man. You have like all these cool little gadgets and toys, but being outside was the shit.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I learned so much. I went to the creek all the time, and I explored, and I like picked up rocks and learned about bugs and like all different type of stuff that was just like part of nature.
You play with frogs?
Yeah.
I can't do
Frogs, worms, crickets, all of it.
I can't do it.
And I was always there and just outside and rollerblading and on the trampoline and swimming and bicycle. Oh man, I rode my bicycle all the time. Anywhere I needed to go, that was how I got trained. I remember one time I rode my bicycle in a dress because I was so determined that I was like, I'm gonna ride my bike there, but I don't want to take off this dress because it looked really nice.
Yeah.
No, my dress got all up in the spokes. I flipped over. It was bad. But I always was outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys are just missing out on that, and that just being a kid. Like, trust me, you're going to be all about technology when you get older. You kind of need it to survive these days. But go outside and go do something.
Do you think about your childhood a lot?
Yeah.
I do too. I'm like, man, those
I
are
love,
good times.
I mean, like, I played football. I did so many sports outside. Like, every summer I was in a softball league, like a summer softball league. And I love those days. Like, you would do whatever throughout the day. I'd ride my bike, go swimming, whatever. And then at the evening, I would go play softball. My dad was also a softball coach. And then after, you would go to Zesto, which is an ice cream, like, little place. It's not like a restaurant. It's like a drive-through thing and a walk-up window. And you would go there.
It's like a Dairy Queen?
No, we had Dairy Queen.
Okay, but Zesto was better.
But Zesto's way better. Zesto's still better.
Real serious.
But no, it's like, just like, you know, like if you went to a taco stand and you don't go inside, you just go to the window and order.
Like that,
it was like that before ice cream.
Okay.
And it was so good. You would go there with all your friends, and you'd have ice cream after softball, and then you went home and like went outside, saw the stars, and there were stars, unlike here. And
do you go back?
I haven't gone back in 2 years.
Okay.
And when I last went back, it was not on good terms. So I haven't gone back to like go back for me and just go back.
To go back
when I last went back, it was for my father passing, but it was during Easter time. So like I got to, you know, be out in the country, and like eggs were everywhere. You didn't have to go to a park. Like people's houses have a lot of land, so like you just have it there, and it's so beautiful, and the air is so much cleaner, but it's flat. Yeah. Everything's flat. You see everything. So seeing mountains for the first time, I remember I went to Virginia. I drove to Virginia, and that was like nuts for me. I was like, oh my gosh, look at these. Right. I was so sheltered. And in my town, we have one bowling alley. That's it. No movie theater, no mall, no nothing else.
Movie theater?
Nothing. Like you have to drive a good half hour, 45 minutes. More like 45 minutes to get to the mall. Which our closest town is Fort Wayne. Yeah, and the bowling alley is like hit or miss. It's very run down. It goes through a lot of changes, so like it wasn't super great.
So what would you do for fun? What are you gonna do out there?
If I went somewhere, like I would go 4-wheeling and go to somebody's house, go to the lake. But if we all I remember going to the roller rink all the time, like as a kid. That was the place to be. Yeah. Now I think it's like a planning center or something. I don't know.
Why do people stay there in small towns? I always wonder that. Small town people, why do they stay in that small town? There's nothing to do there.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think it's about that.
Okay.
Because I've asked that question. Because I left. 100%. I was like, okay, bye, I'm out. And I asked my mom, I was like, why did you stay forever?
Is it familiar?
She goes, not only that, she's like, because of my family. Some people stay because family is what's more important. Not so much going out and trying new things and going after your dreams. My mom's generation, ain't nobody going after their dreams. You work and you provide. That was it. So that our generation could go after our dreams. And she was like, I love being around family. Like my mom, I would come home and almost every day family was over at my house. My mom's like, you got an A on a test? Woo, we're gonna have a party. Like always family was at the house. And I'd be like, Mom, I gotta do homework. She's like, family's here. And I'm like, they're always here. I don't know what we would do. And it was always, my mom always had people, and she still does. She cooks for everybody. And that is what her thing was. She always she knew she wanted to be a mom ever since she was, my mom got married at 16 and had her first child at 17. Okay. Like my mom was like, this is the life for me.
She got married at 16?
Mm-hmm. Woo. Yeah, she was like, this is what I want.
How'd she meet your dad?
I don't know, to be honest, how they met.
What?
Her and my dad's relationship wasn't super great.
Okay.
So, I don't know how they met. I know how, her first husband.
But were they married up until his passing?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No. My mom has been married 4 times.
Okay.
And then with her first husband, he lived across the street from my mom. Okay. So that's how they met, and I knew that. Okay. And then I don't know how she met my dad. Okay. I'll have to ask.
Just moved in one day.
Just one day, like, hey, we're together.
Pull the car in the parking lot. He's like, I'm here.
But my town is super small, to the point we got a super Walmart when I was in middle school, and we legit got a half day for school, so that we could go to Super Walmart. That was that was the thing.
That Walmart was like a casino to you guys.
Okay, but it was so cool. Like I couldn't even knock it. Now I can, because I'm like, it was Walmart. Yeah. But when I was younger, I was like, wow, this is huge. It's like a mall.
Would you guys go there and hang out?
No, but we would go to Dairy Queen and hang out and talk about our Wendy's.
I would have been out of there, man. There's no way I could do that.
I remember we got half days and we were like, guys, let's go to Wendy's. And we would get food, and then all of us would just chill at Wendy's. Or we would go to someone's house and hang out. And there's, that was it.
Did you guys have drugs?
I didn't have drugs. I was so scared of marijuana. I was like, no, my gosh, you're going to go to hell. Mm-hmm. It's horrible for you, especially because it was illegal. Yeah. And I was such a goody two-shoe, and I was so scared of my mom. I snuck out one time, and it was to go to my cousin's party. Yeah. My own family members, and still I was like, I'm going to be in so much trouble. I already know.
Why would you, if you sneak out, you know that your family's going to, it's your family, you know?
I know.
Okay.
But my mom didn't know about that. Okay. She knows about it now because I told her. But, no, she didn't know about that one.
Why wouldn't she let you go?
Oh, my mom, it was very...
Strict?
No, yes, very strict. Be in the house, do your homework, Okay. I wanted to go to football games, because that was another thing. High school football, everybody went just to go. Some people went to watch football, but most people went just to hang out with their friends and do whatever. And so I would go, and my mom, I was only allowed to go when I was a cheerleader, and then when my nephew was on the football team. I would be like, Mom, but I'm just gonna go with my friends. No.
Did your brothers go?
Yeah, but they were older than me.
A lot older?
Mm-hmm. My brother was a senior when I was a freshman, so
that's not much older.
Yeah, but in middle school, I wouldn't have. My mom's like, you don't need to go. You're not in high school, sort of thing. So I was like, okay. And I was very sheltered.
When you have kids, could you say, how many kids do you want? Do you want a big family?
No, I want 2 kids. More for economical reasons. I'm going to start with 1 kid and we'll see how it goes.
Economical meaning what?
Like, money. It's expensive to raise a kid, and especially pursuing what I pursue and going after my own dreams to be able to be the mother I want to be and to be around and help them. I know I'm going to miss out on things. That's just the life path I chose. I know that, but I also want to be able to provide for them as best as I can. And I don't want to have to say, no, you can't do that because of money. I remember when I was younger, my mom was in gymnastics and she was also in dance. And I wanted to do that. And my mom was like, no, we can't. And I thought she just didn't want me to do it. But as I got older, I realized it was because of money. And then when my mom did have money, it was already too late to like join in. And I was like, oh, okay. And I don't want to have to tell my kid, no, you can't try that.
Right.
Because of that.
Right.
And so I get that I'm never going to be financially stable to have a child. No one is. They're save. Unless you like, you know, really got money. But even when your first kid, no one's like, oh, I was super financially stable. I was prepared, ready to go. Most people were like, I figured it out as I went.
Right.
And I know that's going to be me, but I also want to be enough that I'm not living month to month and I can give them what I had, if not more. Obviously, I want to give them everything, but
are you going to be, would you prefer to raise your kids out here or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because my job's out here, so I'm going to be here. But I like where I live right now, because I live in Santa Clarita, Newhall, Valencia area. So it is kind of the country portion of LA. Like, I wouldn't want to live in LA. I don't even want to live in LA. Too much traffic, too much congestion, everyone on top of everyone, can't deal with it. But where I live, there is land and huge parks and places they can go, but there's also malls and movie theaters and ice skating and different gyms and activities and that they can join and try stuff and not feel super city life, but also super country. And when I was younger in the country, all I wanted to do was go to a big city.
Right.
That's all I thought about. And now that I'm in a big city, I'm like, man, I took the country for granted. Like, it's so beautiful there, and it's just open. And I love that. And I miss it. But I wouldn't want to stay. I wouldn't want to move back and be there forever. Because I would get bored. Like, if I move back, I need to be by a city. Or close enough that I'm like, okay, I can handle both. And I definitely miss Four Seasons.
I do too.
You don't get that.
I do too.
I miss so
snow.
much.
I miss it all. Did it snow a lot?
In Indiana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been there. Never been.
There's a lot.
I'm gonna have to venture out there.
Yeah. Most people it's a drive-through state. Most people are like, oh, I drove through that. Like, when I talk to people, they're like, oh yeah, it's blah 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 blah. I've been through there. And I'm like, yeah, that's what most people say. But yeah.
I'll meet you with one more question.
Okay.
So, if your kids, what are you gonna raise your kids, religion-wise? Going back to religion.
Yeah. So I want them to make their own choice. I'd be like, you know, teach them about the Bible, sit down and read the Bible with them, you know, I'm going to have them go to a church that I go to, which is non-denominational. And like, if they like it and want to stay, then okay. If they don't, then okay. And I want to learn what they're thinking and how they're feeling. And then if I can help them, as in like explain something, but I definitely don't want to push anything. I want you to find what you want to find and how you won't choose to live your life. I can give you guidelines and I can help you and I can teach you and be there for you, but I still want you to be your own individual person. Yeah. And my husband's the same way. Like, if our girl wants to be a football player, then I'm gonna put her in pads and be like, all right, go after it. But my mom, I want my mom's opinion. My mom always said, no matter what you do, no matter what you choose, do it 100%. Right. No matter what it is. She's like, even if you have a crappy job right now and you are cleaning toilets, do it 100%.
My mom told me that too.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, so everything you do, give it your all. She goes, because you never know what you could learn from it and what you can do. And a lazy man always works twice. So even if you do a crappy job, you're going to have to go back and redo it, or you're going to lose your job.
How do you feel about the Bible? Do you think it's 100% fact?
Well, I mean, I think it's interpreted how you see it. And, I mean, it wouldn't be in there to me. It's written throughout so much, and it was written so long ago. But I'm not super educated on it to be like, no, this is wrong, because I don't have anything else to compare it to, sort of thing. And I read it, and I learn from it, and then it's my way of being able to get closer to God, because it's his words and his writing, and well, not his writing, but you know what I mean? So that, yeah, I'm gonna read it, go forth. Do I read the Bible as much as I should? No. And do I understand it all the time? No. It's a lot of reading it and reading it and reading it the same
thing
over and over again to be like, oh, that's what it means for me.
Right.
And I could go to somebody else and be like, this is what I totally got out of this. And they'd be like, how did you end up there? And I'm like, so that's not what I was saying, but still, that's their opinion.
Right.
This is mine. So it all just boils down to know what you choose to believe and be solid in that and be a nice person. Spread love, spread kindness, and don't look down on people and judge people and make them feel like they're nothing because they don't choose what you've chosen. And that's all I want to give out in the world, is to really inspire people and help people, because everyone's going through something, no matter if it's big or small. And something that seems small to you could be huge to them. You've never walked in their shoes.
That's true.
And that's what I want to give out. And that's ultimately what I want my child to do, is to be a good person and to help people and not cause mayhem and destruction and wars and fights over something that could just be sat down and communicated. And use more agree to disagree than disagree and fight.
I think communication is it's very simple, but people just don't do it. A lot of problems can be solved, fixed, eradicated with just speaking with one another.
I agree, but it also is something that's taught. Communication, I think, is a very learned lesson, and if you're not taught of how to communicate with one another, especially now in these times with all this technology, if you don't know how to just sit down and have a conversation with somebody, you can't blame the person for not having bad communication if they've never been taught how to have good communication, sort of thing. Technology drives me insane sometimes because just a simple text sometimes can be taken completely different than how you
hear
said
it. You're reading it and then you're putting it in your own.
You try to put emojis to be like, oh, this is how I'm kind of
this
feeling.
Is a happy text.
Yes. And people are like, but was it sarcastic, or like, did they mean it? And like, you can't get the verbal, like the nonverbal communication that people give out when they're communicating, like through text. So that, and I feel like so many kids these days use technology for everything.
That's true.
Like, they have tablets in school now instead of a notebook and piece of paper. So
how you feel about that? I'm not a big technology person. I would rather like have a script. It drives me crazy if I go in, if I'm rehearsing for something and someone has their script on a tablet.
Yeah,
I cannot do that.
No,
I need paper.
To write. I like write my notes on it, and I put things and like objective and everything. I write all that down, and like my task and my actions. I couldn't do it on a tablet. And some people are really great with technology, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like, some people put all those notes on there and make it look great and everything. I'm like, that's awesome. Me, I don't know nothing about nothing when it comes to technology. I know like computers. I get that, but tablets are foreign to me. Sometimes people have to show me how to, like, you can do that on Snapchat? I didn't even know that. And
you were showing me, what was it, on Instagram?
Oh yeah, I had to do
I don't know anything.
Things.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, and also with like a pencil and notebook paper. Like when I was in between classes or something, I was always doodling or writing a note to a friend.
Yeah.
But with a tablet, you can just send it like that. Or fill your time with looking up images or videos.
It's something more personal when you have and you're writing it, and it like gets in your mind.
It goes
as
in
you're
your
writing.
mind a lot better. Even every class that has the tablet, they're like, still like do hand notes because it helps you remember it all the time. And I'm like, I wouldn't even give a tablet, to be honest. And they have to like return them, and like all their books are on them now. You lose that thing, you've lost everything. Even if like, hopefully you have backed it up on your computer onto another drive or something. But if not, you just lost all that work. And I'm like, dang.
Tell me about what do you want for yourself? What are your goals as an actress?
As an actress,
we'll close out with this.
Okay. As an actress, I love what I do. Okay. Right? I mean, I love performing, and I always have. And I want to audition. And I get they're going to tell me no a bunch of times. And as long as I'm so firm in who I am, then when they're like, no, your hair needs to be shorter, or your nose is too big, or you're too chunky, or you need to do this or this, that, and the other thing, I am so solid in who I am that I'm like, no, I'm going to keep working my butt off and getting as far as I can and not giving up, because the closer you get to your goal, the more obstacles that seem to go in your way. Just like a hike. I was telling my husband this because we were on a hike, and I was like, wow, this is so much like acting. Like, I was like, okay, I'm learning, I'm going uphill, and then, this is really hard, and it's hard to breathe, and I'm tired, and I kind of want to go back. Like, it's downhill for the rest of the way. That's easy. Yeah. And so I'm going up, and then I get to the top, and it's so beautiful. It was so calm and beautiful up there. And then I was going down, and it still was like hard to stop and like go through the obstacles. And then we saw a rattlesnake, and that's another like little thing along the journey. And then you keep going, then you got to the bottom, and you're like, look what I accomplished. Wow. But on the way, you have all these things that are in the way that you're like, I don't know if I can do this, or maybe I should just turn back, go to something simpler or more easy. Right. Or on the way down, maybe I should rush through it because I just want to get done. And I felt like that was my journey with acting. Like, I was like, there's always going to be something that is in the way. I was like, even people who are named people who are actresses and actors out there, making money, they still are auditioning to look for their next job or negotiating. Yeah. And I was like, it's never going to be stable. And I know that. But I also just love to perform so much that I'm willing to go with that. And luckily, I have a huge support system and encouragement from my family and my husband that I can pursue this and go after it. And yeah, I love TV dramas. I would love to be on a TV drama.
What's your favorite? Your dream
that's
role?
Hard. That is such a hard question.
You can pick a couple.
I like Manifest.
Never even heard of it.
Oh, I really like Manifest because it's there's a lot of mystery to it. Because this flight leaves and then they're gone for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
But to them, they're like, we literally were on like a 4-hour flight.
Yeah.
And we landed, but everything changed.
Is it on the first season?
Second season.
Is it pretty good?
They're going on to the second season.
It's good. Is it pretty good?
I like it a lot. It's always keeping me on the edge, like, oh, what's gonna happen next? I like shows that you don't know what's gonna happen.
So did they explain what happened yet?
No, we're still like in the midst, like in the meat of it. Okay. We're still working it out, and I like that. It out. And I'm not huge on sitcoms because most of them are very predictable. They do have longevity, but they're very predictable, and I want something that has a little bit of mystery and crime. And
what about Law and Order?
SVU? Heck yeah.
Mishka?
Yes.
I can see you doing
She's
that.
amazing.
Yeah, she is.
And
she
that's super longevity, but I love that stuff. I love crime shows and mystery shows and anything with suspense that I'm like, oh, I gotta figure this out. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I also love watching Bob's as well. Like, I freaking love Bob's. If I could be a guest star, a voiceover on Bob's, I would totally do that.
I love that show.
So I just love to create. I love to act, and that's the beauty about acting. there's so many types of different roles and people and that you play. And I usually always play the authority figure, or like the young mom, the cop, the lawyer, the the strong best friend that's like, no, he's an idiot sort of thing. I'm always those type of characters. So, and I love that. I love my type. Some people don't. Some people hate their types, and they're like, I don't want to be my type. I don't play anybody I want to play. But me, I was like, I got lucky. I really do like the type that I end up playing. And I'm going to just keep pushing and climbing. And yeah, it comes with sacrifices. Like, I didn't get to go home for my grandmother's funeral, and it broke my heart, and it was really hard.
Because of what, the showcase? Okay.
Her funeral was on Wednesday, and then we had the showcase on Thursday.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was really hard, and I was going through a bunch, and I was like, this is the choice I made, and I am working my butt off so that I can, be like, okay, someday I will be able to provide and be there and be home. And I was like, but right now I gotta just work and work and work. And I did. And then the next day on Friday, I had all this emotions that I hadn't dealt with, because I was like, I need to just deal with. I kind of dealt with it, but not to the extent of what I needed to deal with it. And then on Friday, I was just like a hot mess, just crying, letting everything out, and because it was really hard not to be there with my family. And I wasn't super close with my grandma, but it wasn't only that, it was my whole family was there, and I wasn't. I was the only one that didn't go home, and it's still hard. And I've missed, and I mean, you're gonna go through it. You're gonna miss weddings. You're gonna miss, funerals, anniversaries, graduations. That's just how it is.
I've been blessed not to have missed anything yet, but I think,
good.
I mean, I know it's a possibility that it may happen, so I'm already prepared for it.
It is, and I was like, but this is a choice I made.
Yeah.
And I work super hard. I have a really good work ethic. I do. And even still sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm lazy and I need to work harder. But yeah, that's just how it is. It's super competitive.
You do have a really good work ethic. I remember saying that to, I can't remember who it was, but you have a pretty strong. I was like, I don't have to worry about her. She's gonna be all right.
Yeah, because with the thesis, I missed those 4 weeks for my gallbladder removal, and all the instructors were like, you need to take the semester off and just heal and then come back. And I was like, no, I'm gonna work. And I did. I was in my hospital bed and doing homework and sending emails, and I was negotiating, getting stuff done, and I got my thesis done. And I remember I came back and I was the only one done with my book, my thesis book. And I thought it was supposed to be due, and I thought I was behind, and no one had it done but 2 people.
Yeah,
and
I
was
didn't have mine done.
And I was like, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm caught up for the most part. But yeah, it really comes from my mom and my siblings, because they are all hard workers, all of them. And so they've always showed me that. They're like, work your butt off and then enjoy life too. Have a little bit of both. And I do. And so that's what I do. You have to make time for family, for fun, and for work. And if you don't, and it all is going to one, it's going to catch up to you.
Well, thank
Life's
you,
hard,
Kylie.
right?
Thank you very much.
No,
I
thank you.
enjoyed this.
This is awesome.